Welcome. Chapter 9, Operational Excellence, Customers and Enterprise Application. So what are we going to look at today? How do enterprise systems help businesses achieve operational excellency? We're going to look at supply chain and how they help get the customers what they want. And we're also going to look at the customer. How do we keep them happy? How do we keep them coming back? And what are the challenges of an ERP system? So Enterprise Resource Planning System, or ERP. Basically what it does is it's a suite of integrated software, and it has a central database. We kind of talked about this the other day when we were talking about large systems, but each department, human resources, accounting, manufacturing, sales, marketing, has their own set of required data. Usually in the past, they were separate silos. Well, an ERP system puts it all under one roof. So when a salesman goes out, gets a new customer, sends the information, goes to accounting, they approve it, goes to manufacturing, they know where they're shipping it. No duplicate of data. Basically, a customer gets what they want sooner. So it also makes it easier for everyone to see what's going on in the organization. So they're usually built around the 5 major areas: finance, human resources, manufacturing, sales. And basically, they link everything together. By linking them together, they share all the data, they share all that information, so it makes it easier for the company to do business. They can stay on track, they can see where their customers are, and it just makes more sense to have this in place. Basically, some of the values of it: increases operational efficiency because there's no one sitting around waiting for anything. Provides firm-wide information to make better decisions. Enable rapid responses if a customer has something. And it has a bunch of analytic tools so they can oversee what's going on. So overall, ERP system really helps the organization stay on track in business. The other thing that we need to look at is supply chain, from the vendors to the customer. So basically it's a network of organized processes: procuring material, transferring them into products, and getting it out into the customer. So upstream, which is our suppliers, the firm suppliers, and the suppliers of the suppliers, and all this other stuff. How do we keep track of them? How do we know that they're all doing what they're supposed to say? Well, we got to make sure of that. So we have systems in place. One of those systems is an ERP system that helps track what's going on upstream. Downstream is, once we finish a product, we sell it to a secondary party, a third party. They then sell it to a third party. Then it gets out to the store. So there's many things that we have to make sure that who has our product and are they going out. Someone like Walmart, they'll build some of their own stuff. Well, they don't have third party. So they're able to reduce the cost of it because they're building it and shipping it and selling it. We also have internal supply chain. So someone, I could be in the marketing department, but I don't get my information unless I get it from sales. So, there's different things we need to do. So supply chain management, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. We have one of the major things we try to do is have just-in-time strategies. And basically that means that we only are going to give information when it's needed. We're not going to put anything out. We're not going to ship anything, build anything until it's there. One of the issues that we can have is a safety stock. And that allows us to have, a small safety stock's not terrible, but if something changes, well, all that stock now becomes obsolete. If there's a major change in the product, well, and we didn't sell that, well, what are we going to do with it? So that's another thing we need to think about. Then we have the bullwhip effect, which in that is, I'm going to build something. I place an order with one of my vendors. My vendor then places an order. So he builds in a 10% stock over just to make sure he has it. He places his order. They build in at 10%. So now we're at 20%. And it goes on down the line where eventually someone at the very beginning of the process is just ordering way too much product to keep everything going smoothly. So that's the bullwhip effect. We do have supply management chain software that helps us going on. It keeps us up to date with the model existing, enabling demand planning, optimize sourcing, manufacturing, establish this. Here's the thing with supply chain. I worked at one organization. It was huge, and they shipped soaps and shampoos and all that. And I remember sitting in a meeting. Their goal was to reduce the supply chain by 1 day. They had a 30-day from time it left manufacturing until it hit the shelf for the customer. They wanted to reduce it by 1 day. They wanted to get down to 29 days. And I remember sitting in the meetings asking, and I was asking myself, someone finally asked the question, well, what's the purpose? How much is it going to save? Well, it's a worldwide company. If they went from 30 days to 29 days, they estimated to save $3 million a day. There's a lot of product sitting in supply chain, sitting in warehouses, sitting in the docks, sitting on the trucks. By reducing this and keeping track of it, we can have a better idea of where all our money is being spent. So supply chain management is a big issue. This leads us to global management. Well, with Amazon and almost every company now, you can sell globally. Well, how do we get product efficiently across the seas? Well, again, this is some of the things that we need to look at. We need to look at what are we going to be doing, where we have to warehouse it, transportation, logistics, outsourcing. So here we are. I can tell you, I worked in the shipping industry for 15 years. Our busiest months, August and September. Basically, our ships were packed for the Christmas rush. Actually, possibly even starting in July. People started shipping all their product in early July, end of July. In August, you couldn't get any room on a vessel to get product across the ocean at that point. Because it has to be here. It has to be here for now. Usually by end of October, sales start. Well, all that product, with the 8-week lead times, you got to start shipping this early. So global supply chain's a big issue. So there's a couple different ways that we have demand of the driven supply chain. The push-based model, and that's build to stock. This is how it used to be. We just build stuff, put it in stock, hope someone would buy it. Now we're more towards the pull-based. And this is web-based things. And this is demand-driven. This means the customer orders it and we build it. So it's not much. It's a lot different than how it used to be, where they would pull it out of the thing. Now you might have to wait for it. But the internet is moving more sequentially, and it's allowing us to have this information available. So what does the business need to do? They need to make sure they match the supply demand, reduce inventory levels. Inventories cost money. Improve delivery system, speed product to market, use assets more efficiently, and increase sales. These are some of the things we have to look at. But here's the bottom line. Without a customer, we don't have a business. So how do we keep the customer happy? We all have those little customer cards you wave when you get there, so you get the stupid coupons. Well, they're tracking what you're buying, and they want to make you happy because it costs more money to get a new customer than to keep a customer. So what do we have to do? We have to know what our customers want. And so there's our customer relations management. We put in all the information about our customer so we can make them happy. How do we make a customer happy? We give them what they want at a price they want when they want it. If a customer has to wait for a product, they're not going to be happy. So we have to make sure we know what the customer is going to want and we give it to them. There's a whole bunch of different things. We have partnerships where we can integrate information and employee relations, that we give employees information that we can have it. Salesforce, customer service, marketing. How do we make sure we give the customer what they want when they want it? And that's one of the things we need to talk about and look at. We want to make sure we are following the analytics. Because let's face it, it is earlier in the year. What do we want to sell at Christmas time? We want to make sure that the customer has what they want when they need it. We want a customer for life. And that's what we're looking at. And we use analytics to look through what customers' the buying habit is. Big companies do this all the time. And we want to make sure we keep that customer happy. We have something called churn rate. That's the number of customers who stop using our product. It's not a good thing when we lose customers. We did something wrong. How do we get them back? I can mention a couple, Harley Davidson. You've all heard of that motorcycle company. They have one of the best loyalties. The product, I'm not a big fan of. There are better products out there, but their customer loyalty, their way they treat their customers is really good. So we got to look at companies that do this and how do they keep their customers happy? So how do we look at some enterprise applications? We talked about ERP before. They are not cheap. Many products, the average cost in 2015 was over $6 million. They cost a lot of money, take a lot of time to put data in there to get them up and running. We have technologies changing within that time frame, data standardization. We have a couple things that we look at. Do we change our application to meet the enterprise system, or do we go it the other direction? Enterprise suites allow us to have one integration, and then we have this on open source applications, on demand applications. Then we're looking at social media. How do we incorporate social technology into this? Business intelligence. We talked about that the other day. The inclusion of BI software, we need to be able to get that information out. All right, that was chapter 9. Remember, smile.